Hi, Erin. This is going to be your Satric record reading with Rosa. And before we get started, I would like to let you know that I will be providing you a lot of information, and don't think you have to metabolize it all the first time you watch this video. Okay? For a lot of people, it can take days or weeks or months for them to fully process what's being said. So information will be dynamic, it will be spherical, so it may not follow, we call that chronological linear forward, backward motion or side to side. It is very much like Niagara Falls. So we see all of these rivers coming together to create this powerful waterfall. Okay, that's very much like the Akashic record. And that powerful waterfall is the knowledge that is born from all of these rivers from all regions coming in contact with each other. Okay, that's the Akashic record. All of these regions of our lives or past lives, like these rivers, they join together, they intersect, they connect, they pour into each other, creating this powerful energy known as Niagara Fall. Okay, so so I may be using analogies, metaphors, images, imagery to best help you, okay? So I'm just going to connect. So I have your photo in my mind. I'm going to do a little prayer of intention to call in the spirit guides, the angels. I call upon my spirit guides, I call upon the archangels, the angels of the highest vibration of love and light to surround me at this time. My intention is to provide guidance and information that is of the highest vibration of love. I seek for all guidance and information to provide clarity of mind, body, and spirit, to energize, inspire, empower, and uplift, elevate Aaron. May all messages elevate Aaron and help him to step into his joy and his sense of balance, his sense of belonging on planet Earth at this time. So use me, spirit guides and angels, to channel information, guidance that can help Aaron on his journey, help him find his joy. His joy. Okay. So the first thing that really comes strong about your photo is that you do have a strong Cancer. Okay. Cancer vibration around you. So Cancer, you don't necessarily have to be born on, I like to say, the Cancer sun or the Cancer moon when we look at our natal chart. Okay, but you do have the Cancer around you very prominently. So when we look at Cancer, it's very nurturing. It's about mothering yourself. So you could have had a mother dynamic with your mother that could be very nurturing for you in this particular life, or could have been a grandmother, okay, that made a home that was a place of belonging or a sanctuary. So with Cancer, it's all about that belonging. Cancer has to do with the unconscious parts of ourselves, where we just want to be free. We just want to be childlike. We just want to be ourselves and be accepted. So that's that motherly emotion of all of us. We all have that, except you have a more prominent emphasis on this Cancer. And this is probably stemming from past lives as well. So it's interesting, the day I'm doing this, we have a Venus gate, which is very much about beauty. It's about the feminine, which is Cancer. It's about the matriarch, feminine energy of beauty, of belonging, of creating a home on earth. And then we also have the Pisces new moon, which is also another water sign with Cancer. Okay, and Pisces is about being the poet, being creative. Okay, seeking fulfillment in the spiritual realm or a more meditative realm. Okay, so for you, this Cancer is a yearn to bring depth or deeper meaning to your life. And that also goes with the Pisces. So you asking for a reading was very much you adhering the call to the Pisces new moon and also inside of you as well. And that is to have a deeper understanding or deeper meaning to what it means to be on earth. So in this particular lifetime, you're heading into you're bringing more balance. So when we think of Cancer, its companion is Capricorn. So you may have jobs in this incarnation that are mechanical jobs. It's about mechanics of life. So Capricorn is about mechanics, how to, put in a light bulb, how to make a bed, how to, make electricity, how to fix electricity. Okay, how to could be fix a car. It could be how to build a house. These are all things of the Capricorn. So I do feel that you have been or are heading into a more mechanical, like using your hands, more masculine embodiment in this lifetime. Because I'm sensing from this Cancer vibe about being very motherly, nurturing, seeking that, okay, seeking this belonging, seeking your unconscious to be recognized and to be accepted by those. It may be a challenge to be in the rough and tough Capricorn patriarchal uh, system that we have on planet Earth. Either it's your job, okay, like a mechanical job or electricity job or a plumbing job or fix a car job or a light bulb job. Okay, these are jobs I kind of feel like you've had more like hands-on. Okay, you're physically using your body. You may be or have felt a little bit uncomfortable with that, of just, that rough and tumble or being around people who are maybe like that rough and tumble, not very sensitive, not very considerate, not very empathetic. They're very much maybe desensitized, like overly masculine to the point where there's no touch of a motherly, nurturing, and nourishing presence to them. Okay, so that's you're learning about the polarity of Cancer, which is that institutional, rough and tough masculine that doesn't really know how to understand, doesn't know how to nurture, doesn't know how to empathize. Okay, so with that is you are wanting to experience a more grounded embodiment. So when I connect with you in your past lives, I do see you like like the Pisces, okay? Very much like the Pisces. You were very much a poet. You could have been a female in your past lives, and I feel like you would resonate with this. You could have been, when we think of Pisces and the poet, it's just somebody who is a little different than from the same. Okay, and that Capricorn represents the same, like a factory belt. You put on the same thing and you get the same thing. Okay, so it's same, and that's kind of what the environments you're maybe been in. Like that factory belt of people, kind of same. But in your past lives, you're coming from a stream of consciousness like a river. You're coming from a region, rivers are all over. They come from all kinds of regions, from India, from China. I mean, they're everywhere on this planet. But your stream of consciousness comes from the one I'm picking up that's really emphasized in this life, or right now in your life, is this life of this Piscean poet where you had this hunger for philosophy. And you might even have that today where you enjoy reading books on philosophers. So I feel like you were a student of philosophy, or a student of poetry, a student of nature. Life in these previous incarnations was about you exploring that unconscious realm within yourself. So that's why even today you feel, like you said, this big heart for all creatures such as plants and people, and you don't understand why people don't have that same exuberance for nature and children and all things, is because in previous incarnation you had a very meditative mind. Okay, and the environment that you're in is very much about being grounded. It's taking that meditative spacey mind and really grounding it. So it's uncomfortable because you went from very meditative, introspective, observant, to, like, I could just see you in nature in a previous incarnation. Not any time, like it could be, um, there's some connection with you, and also what we call, because I'm seeing a region on planet Earth that is not North America. And I would say I feel like it's what we call about the Mediterranean. Okay, life started around the Mediterranean. So I feel that you've had incarnations before what we know as like the Roman Empire. Okay, that's the patriarch, that's the Dark Ages leading into now. Even before that, we've, had the rise of the Dark Ages. But for you, I don't feel like you have incarnations of participating in the Dark Ages, such as the monarchs, and after the Romans, and then we had the pharaohs and those kinds of patriarchal, very rigid, very rough, very strict, very authoritative. Okay, very commanding, controlling. I feel like you didn't have much participation in that. I feel that you lived very much in like a villa. Okay, that word just came up to me and I don't use that a lot. And it could be in a private community that was near the Mediterranean or in the Mediterranean. There's so many islands, the Greek, the Greek main, main hub. So I feel that you were a student of the matriarch. You were a student of the practice of mystical teachings. It could be esoteric wisdoms. It could be art. It could be painting. It could be sculptural design. I feel like that is what you've been a student of. Okay. So when we think of the Mediterranean, this Greek culture, we think of also the Minoans, the Mycenaeans. We also think of the Egyptians. We think of the Sumerians, Mesopotamians over in the Middle East. And I feel that you have a connection to a Minoan culture. Okay, almost like before the Minoans that we know of. So you may want to research this. Okay, the island of Crete, associated with the frameworks for Greek culture that we have today. That we know, and even leading into the Romans. So that's something I'm picking up. Okay, about you and this Cancer, this Cancer spirit. Okay, you're very gentle. You are very loving and very caring, and that's all things Cancer. So what's going to help you in this particular lifetime to really feel grounded, because that's sort of the lesson, is to be grounded, to know how to like handle yourself, stand up for yourself. Okay, and it's not like a Mars, okay, where it's like the warrior. Okay, you're not, the archetype for you is not the warrior. Okay. Some people in this lifetime, their archetype is they're meant to be the warrior. They're meant to be revolutionary. I feel for you that's not the direction. Okay. When we talk about standing up for yourself, I feel like it is almost a Libra of collaboration, compromise, is consideration. Okay. It is listening and learning of other people and their archetype and their embodiment, and how can I accommodate them in a way where I'm not losing my authenticity or my true nature. Okay, so that's, I feel, an inner, I don't know, like an inner assignment that's going on right now. So, and that's also why you're feeling um, this emergence. Okay, that's also that Cancer and that Pisces where you are feeling your your aura is getting emerged with everyone around you. So I'll give you a tool at the end to how you can really consolidate your aura. So you know this is yours and that's theirs. Okay. But it's also to have an understanding that we, all of us, are always emerging with each other energetically. Okay. And it's nothing to feel bothered by. Okay. But sometimes we do need tools to kind of shake off what we just, you know, so we can keep ourselves really consolidated as our own, as an own person, own individual, very sovereign to our own. So I'm going to give you a tool for that. So connecting a little bit further, okay. So another thing that comes up, so we talked about your previous incarnations and kind of where you're coming from and where you're headed. Like I said, you're headed to more Taurus, Capricorn, destiny, where you are wanting to learn. You're wanting to learn more about the masculine, okay? Because I feel like you are a man, but I just don't feel like you have a huge, strong masculine presence, okay? It's very feminine with you, okay? Very receptive to other people, and that's why maybe you feel a little bit, whoa, like this is a lot of energy because you're very receptive. That's also Cancer. So the masculine, that Taurus, grounded, it makes you solid where you're not so susceptible to, being pulled in all kinds of directions. Okay. But when it comes to your job, you need to know that you're the type of person that if you're around people who are, pissy, have bad attitude, it will directly affect you. Okay. And that's just kind of who you are. Some people are just like totally just like, yeah, no. But I feel with you, it does create an effect on you. And that's just your design. Okay. Everyone's different. But I'll also give you a tool after to kind of strengthen your nerves so you can handle it. Okay. Handle it a little bit better, these kinds of people. So going deeper. So it does bother you about this patriarchal Capricorn system that we're in, because like I said, you haven't had past lives where, like me, where you're, deep in the dark ages of the monarch and all, weird stuff, some weird stuff. But I feel like we're coming out of it and you're incarnated during a time when you still get to see, like, okay, like what is this is really weird, this patriarchal system, okay, and how it has really affected nature and the animals and people. So it kind of bothers you about the rejection, like rejecting. It's almost like rejecting this feminine contribution. Okay, like the feminine has something to contribute in this design that you're a part of, but it's almost like rejected. So you may have this inner dialogue about the way women are treated. Okay, you may have that. You don't necessarily like the way women are treated. They have such great imagination and creativity to give, but then they're rejected. So I don't know if you had a mother or grandmother, they were rejected, or they basically were sort of beat up, you could say, beat up by even the jobs and that sort of environments that and we all know. And it kind of made them feel very small, very weak, very brittle, no creativity, no sense of joy. Okay, so there is this inner, like a feminist or this activist inside of you. So, so in this life, I feel like you have maybe been drawn to, I just see Native American men. So I don't know if in this life you've been to like a Native American, say, ritual, or traveled to a Native American site. Okay. But I feel I see Native American men around you, or just very men that have, they're not white men. They're very strong men, and they're strong because of their ethnic, they're exotic. Okay, either Native American, either could be Middle Eastern. And I see that in this life, the divine is wanting you to participate in some sort of masculine Native American ritual. Okay, and that's going to be very grounding for you. And again, I just see you in these past lives having a connection to the masculine principles that are connected to Native American culture. Again, I don't necessarily know what that is. I could channel that, but it's very different from the white man, okay, or the men that you work with. Because I do feel the men you work with are kind of what you call not, like maybe a little bit swampy, mushy in the mind, and weak and brittle in the body and in the spirit. So I feel there is a calling for you to participate in this, to really activate, enliven this masculine inside of you. Now, again, it's not like a Burning Man, or it's nothing, um, that nature. I'm not, it's just, I'm seeing older men that are just together, maybe in a circle, and I'm just seeing you listening to them. So this may be something that you're doing in a dream state. It could be something that you maybe have had a vision of or visualization of. But I see you are hungry for knowledge on what it means to be a man, like a true man, not a swampy, mushy mind, wanky sex life of men. Okay, you're wanting to really get deep on the principles that make a strong, compassionate, and forward moving man. Okay. So that's what will help you with your spiritual growth and get you some energy moving. So with Cancer, that, like I'm saying, and we'll look at other zodiacs that you probably have going on, but I'm seeing that sometimes you can get in your emotions. Okay, so that's when we need to light a fire under your ass. Okay, because when we get too emotional, we can get too sentimental. We can get too much sympathy for ourselves and for others. I feel like you have a lot of sympathy, but sometimes what that does is it creates emotional, what we call that emotional stagnancy, or that emotional swamp. Like you said, where you don't know where you end or someone gets. That's when we need to light a fire under our ass. And that's called, we need to move some energy around. We need to give ourselves more fire. Okay, so I feel like for you, your tattvas, which is like the elements, you have strong water, but we need to get some fire moving, okay? And we need to boil some of that water. So you just like boil some of that water. Why do we do that? To clean the water. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that's why you're being drawn to, like, I don't know, this Native American, almost like before it's gone, because it may be gone in the next couple decades at the rate it's going right now. So I feel a part of it could be a calling, it could be something that you wanted to do in a past life, but you didn't do this, and it's coming up now. is I feel like you're wanting to document, or you're wanting, just, it could be in your own experience, it could be physical documentation of this, like learning from like a Native American man or interviewing them. There's something about that that you are, that's dear to you, and you're wanting to preserve. Okay, so there's something about that you're wanting to preserve. Okay, and this is like an inner self, an inner, it could be a past life. Sometimes we have past life um, uh, dreams or goals that we couldn't fulfill in those past lives because maybe we just didn't have the time, or it just, wasn't the right time to do that. But I feel like there is a call for that now, and for you to really embrace that, because I just see there's something very powerful for you there. And also it'll give you the courage, and it'll give you the community for you to feel at home and you feel a belonging, because you don't really feel at home or belonging because you're in environments where people are not very open to that, but you are open like a book. You are very much like the Pisces book of knowledge, or that wizard. Pisces is like that wizard of deep compassion, unconditional love, and that book is thick of stories, of narratives, of experiences. And you have access to that through your own psychic abilities. Okay. But your psychic abilities is a little bit different. You can say from mine or other people, yours is more about the earth, like grounded. Like I said, Native American psychic ability is not so much about, let me go channel these ETs, or let me go, that kind of thing. It is very grounded. And that is kind of the embodiment. Okay. The Taurus, the Capricorn embodiment. Okay. Getting your footing on what it means to be a man, a real, not these wanky men. Okay. So I'm just going to go deeper. I always say go deeper. So I'm just going to connect. Okay. I like to connect with the planets and also the zodiacs, because they're with you throughout many incarnations on this planet, Earth, this Earth system. You don't really have a sense of ego, which is interesting. You're a certain age, men particularly, you don't, and that's what really shows me that you've had many incarnations as a community. You've been a part of the community, and that's very matriarchal. That's very matriarchal, very much Cancer, very Pisces. You've your ego is based on sharing. It's based on including yourself and other people, listening. So you have this listening ability. And you also, as well, I don't know if you have children, but you do know how to nurture and care for children. Just intuitively. But you want to know about your job. You're in, like I said, you're in these mechanical jobs, the mechanics of life, which we need people in mechanics of life. You're wanting to enliven what it means to be a worker, enliven what it means to work, and enliven what it is to be in a team. So that may be something you want to write down. Enliven. And how do we enliven? Through our contribution, what we give, what we offer. So you're very much receptive as you're receiving all of, we need to think about contribution as in giving, as an offering, not as in like, spilling all of your cup. We're not spilling our cup into our work. just until I'm dried and I'm nothing in my cup. Is you fill your cup up, that becomes your contribution. When everyone's cup is just like, whoa, it's dried up, there's nothing in there, you fill yours up and you offer that cup. Not as to spill it over and people could just do whatever, they drink it up. No. So I'm going to give you a tool, okay, for that as well. So let me see. It's like take care of the home. It's like you take care of the home. Or I don't know if you've had relationships. I just don't feel a lot of relationships around you in your past. I just don't see a lot of, sometimes you can feel a lot of relationships, or they have many lessons on relationships in this particular incarnation. I don't feel you have a lot of ties to people in this incarnation. Like I said, you were very much a meditator in past lives, where you didn't have a lot of entanglements or attachments or interlocks with people. Okay, so it's interesting. The people I feel you have, we call contracts or connections to, that are in this lifetime, or these men. You're going to be meeting these men that are around your age, and they have like some sort of Native American. They're exotic, or some like Middle Eastern, and you're wanting to activate a hidden gift that you haven't activated. And that is, like I said, that Mediterranean vibe, where when we think of Mediterranean, we think of rich, like a rich cake. Okay, it is just full of so much depth and so much tried and true philosophy that you're not getting from a lot of these things are shallow. Like it could be even like America. It could be even like this institutional model that you're seeing. It's very shallow, as in it's only been here for what, couple years, or couple, what, 200 years or something. Okay. So that is also a hunger for you. And some of this might require travel as well. Okay. I don't know if you've traveled, but I feel like there is traveling to really activate yourself, enliven yourself, gain a tool for yourself. So I'm just going through. So again, I'm looking at the planets in my head. There is a strong Neptune around you. So Neptune is kind of like that meditator inside of us. It's about being dreamy. It's about being imaginative. And also there is a moon around you as well. So that moon is also about the place of coming home to, a place like that heaven on earth, that unconscious part of yourself, that soul part of yourself, the most real, authentic part of yourself. So these are really emphasized, I feel, around you. And also Jupiter. So these things that you can look up as well. Okay, it's like a little exploration. And Jupiter as well. So when we think of Jupiter, we think of wealth. Wealth in the form of finding a teacher and being a teacher. But you've been mostly an observer. I feel like that's very true. You've been an observer. You don't really say much. You don't have necessarily fiery energy where you're not, like me, you might be, woo, but we're gonna light that fire under your ass so that you don't get too mushy. Okay, you need to get more solid like bark of a tree and more fire like boiling water to get out the emotional stuff. just when I connect with you, I don't see much about your past. Like your childhood, sometimes I can pick things up, but it's almost like blank to me. Almost like you have initiated into some sort of like like you've initiated or almost cleared something about your childhood. I just don't feel it very much carried with you. Yes, it's almost like it could just be it's just not is not something the guides are wanting to bring up at this time. So now I'm just going to pull some cards because I do like to pull cards. Again, with the Akashic record reading, it's what you need to know most. Okay. So in this life, I feel like you're not necessarily like, some people will cycle back because they have arrangements. They have arrangements with other people, like I said, attachments, entanglements, interlocks. But for you, I don't feel like you have arrangement. You're coming to Earth simply because you want to observe. You want to watch how are things going to unfold and how things are going to unfold in the Aquarian age. You're wanting to enrich yourself by just coming here and observing and watching, okay, how this Aquarian age is going to unfold. Like you are very much a part of a cluster of beings that I see them like a pod of dolphins or like a pod of orcas, and we all know that, maybe it could be 12, could be 30, these pods. And these pods very much come together, they swim, they go wherever they all go together. And I feel like there's some sort of pod that, because I just don't feel you have such a grounded, earthy, like me, like you've been here, done this so XYZ times. Oh yeah, been there, done that. Oh yeah, been there, done that on planet Earth. I feel like you come like a pod, and this pod of like orca or like dolphin is very much like that. When we think of orca or we think of dolphin, they're connected to Earth, but not in the way like you are human. It is different. It's almost like they're in a different paradigm, a different dimension of planet Earth. And that's what I'm feeling about you. Your timeline for your experience of Earth is almost closer to like a pod of dolphins or a pod of orcas. Okay, they're here on Earth, but their whole makeup, their whole paradigm, their whole belief system, their whole lifestyle is like in a different dimension. It's a different design. It's a different model. Okay, it's like almost like in a different time zone. When you think of us and the people in the 40s, this almost seems like a different dialect, different lifestyle, but it's even more than that. Okay, so that's kind of what I feel about you. And sometimes you do get spacey, I feel, which you're also a man. So men get spacey and zone out sometimes. But again, they're just mentioning about learning the man inside of yourself, okay, becoming that man inside of yourself. And also I feel like even with women and attracting women, it's never been something, because I always felt like you had a very nurturing, but maybe never really had a lot of serious committal relationships. Could also be like what you saw with your mother or something with your father. It's just another something that is priority. So now I'm just going to focus on what embodiment are you meant to be in this particular incarnation. So that's the great question. So we know kind of embodiments. Like I said, you're an open book, while some people are so rigid, they're woods. They can. Yes. So don't have a lot of darkness. Like when we talk about intensity, when we think of intensity, I think of Pluto, for example. You don't have a huge emphasis on like Pluto, on Mars, these are really rough planets. So when you're in them or when they're emphasized in your chart or in your life, you'll know, because it's very, very, it can be very destructive. It could be a lot of heart. It could be lessons, challenges on, could be discernment. It could be boundaries. It could be things on people, the darkness of people, the bad habits of people, the underworld. Okay, you know, the underworld. You don't have much of that. Some people do, where they've experienced the underworld of humanity. You know what I'm saying? And we all know that underworld. We all know. Okay, there isn't. But for you, words is philosophy, discovery, and nature. Like Laotus, you have that soft pink aura that Laotus had. Okay, so Laotus is something that you would it would activate something inside of yourself. So what is the embodiment for an Aaron in this particular incarnation? What is the embodiment for Aaron in this particular incarnation? I feel like sometimes I almost like I see you crying, or maybe like I see a younger version of you crying. I don't know if something happened where somebody like teased you, or some woman teased you, or like you felt like somebody, like a woman played a game on you, or like she wasn't really honest and she wanted something, and but she didn't really want you. So I don't know, I just see that inner child or that inner teenager young person crying about that. And it could be even now, where you felt taken advantage of, you felt um maybe used. I don't know, that's just something that's coming up about, like we talk about that unconscious realm when it comes to your relationship with women, or just the woman, the feminine, of the yin of this earth. It's almost like sadness towards that woman, or women in general, that you see that they feel they need to do that. They need to be manipulative or seductive to feel like they get what they want, and almost crying because you feel that they don't have to do that. Like, it's very unfortunate that as women you feel that they have to do these sort of things to feel accepted, or to feel to make themselves in this world. So the embodiment. The embodiment. I'm just seeing in this particular incarnation, with other incarnations that are backing you up, I just see you like a Native American man, like a big man, kind of broad shoulders, kind of a, big body, definitely not no lean, skinny person, and almost like holding the staff of true identity. That's kind of what comes up for me. So, let me see. I'm feeling guided to use a different deck. I was using a particular deck, but I feel guided to use another deck. I don't know, I'm just shuffling and just thinking. So this one is actually a Native American deck, and I'm just going to pull one card on what will help you, and then we're just going to get into what I said about will help you to really clear your space and help you to really get anchored and get centered within your own physical body, so you're not getting whiplash by other people's weird, funky stuff. So I've got a card for you. Oh, wow, this is interesting. We have Calamus. I'm going to read from the little book. So it's called Shaman Wisdom Deck. So that's probably why you're drawn to me, because I have that Taurus energy, which is about practical. Okay, it's not about being spacey. It's about, yes, being knowledgeable, maybe mystical, but not spacey. So Calamus, feminine, south, moon, water. I am Calamus. I am the clear voice that speaks the truth. I am the clear vision that sees reality. Use my powers to clear the issue, to discern the truth. I also relieve thirst and alleviate hunger. I offer protection by strengthening and healing within. I am strong and powerful. Good fortune is indicated when I am on your path. Abundance is in the truth. Use me to see that truth. Use me to speak that truth. Seek the root of the matter, which will help you to understand the foundation of the issue. I am one of the most powerful and useful plants. Use me with caution. Use me with respect, and I will let you see the unknown. This sums up everything about that past lives of your seeking and of your quest that you've been on. And this is also an herb. Okay, so they're saying to embrace this fact about you. I'm going to also pull a card as what can help you to really get grounded so that you're not feeling, like I said, a little bit just off your center. So they're saying to embrace that about yourself. You may not be the patriarchal factory belt of every man is the factory belt of the last product. A bunch of products the same. What will help you to... There's one card. Help you to really kind of stand your ground. Get your footing. There's one thing to be creative and imaginative, but you got to get your footing, or you're going to be easily just, that's what a tree, you got to get your footing, or you're going to be woo all over the place with the currents of the wind. So I got 2 cards for you. Again, there's so much. So we have Snow Moon, which we had early this year, Snow Moon. So this one is Aquarius Rosette's Elders. I am Snow Moon. It is time to renew old friendships, make new friends, and be involved in group activities. So this is what's going to help you to like find your footing, find your sense of ground, find your sense of fun, your sense of joy, your sense of like, okay, I can do this thing. I'm finding my home, my belonging. Inspire you to new innovations and inventions. Fly above it all and actualize your dreams and visions. Set new goals and follow them through until you have achieved your ideals. For inspiration, tap into the sources within your mental and spiritual energies. Be versatile, flexible, creative. Follow your intuitions and take care of business. I am the cold moon of winter. So that's about satisfying your, almost like your inner Gemini, which is that Mercury, about communication with yourself, with others, with the planet, and really clearing away the falseness of communication that just wastes your time. You're not here to waste your time. And getting into communications that involve a group of friends or people that expands your identity, okay? Expands your definition of ego, your definitions of the people you work with, okay? So, and then we have 44 in this book, and it is basswood. This is again feminine, West, Saturn, Earth. I am basswood. I am the false face mask of the Iroquois tobacco ceremony. When you put on the mask, you lose your identity and become whatever the mask represents. You are no longer the person, you are the spirit. The mask also signifies that you might be escaping reality by hiding from the truth. Remove the mask and come face to face with your life. I am tree spirit, I am protection. So escapism, that could be a shadow side for you, where you feel that you want to hide, but it doesn't work because your design, you can't really hide from that because it stands alone. So you may feel you're escaping, but it stands alone. Okay, you have a unique, you're called unique. Okay, and you're called unique. Unique. Like Socrates, unique. Very much like Socrates. So, the basswood, and we also have the planet Saturn. So when we think of Saturn, we think of discipline, we think of consistency. So this is saying finding a practice, finding something, and be very consistent with it. That brings you not escapism, not feeling like you hiding, like you have to put on a mask and be like this, and then you go home and no. Something that is cooperative, authentic, neutral, accommodating without losing your footing. So that you should write that down. Okay? So yes, that's also an herb as well. So these are herbs you can actually find and take if you would like to really get into that momentum of these messages. So you need to get a footing on something that's solid, something that's consistent, something that's been tried and true for generations, not just 200 years. We think of North America, okay? So now I'm going to give you a meditation that will help you to activate that joy within you, that natural rhythm that you have, that big-hearted Cancer kind of loving energy you have. And also I'm going to give you one to get a fire under your ass so that you can actually not get mushy, not get swampy in your energy, where you're just too feminine. You could be too sensual in the, could be with food, it could be with pleasure, these kinds of things. And get more movement, more propulsion, so you can get more things done and create more magnetism. So with like I said, with your work environment, you want to learn that sort of mechanics of life, which I've done that past lives. I've been at a pencil factory, past life. I worked at a pencil factory. And that's mechanical. You're learning the mechanics. And for you, it could be like electrical companies, things of that nature. But what really helps us to understand, to shed light on why we're in these positions, is to get a fire under our ass and really get ourselves energetic, okay? That will solve all our problems, really get ourselves energetic enough to not get watered down, to not get swampy. So this is for the emotional, just emotional well-being. So the mantra is, and I'll send this to you as well. Here we go. Sat Narayan, Sat Narayan, Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. 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 So you can repeat that. That will be very good for you because of your unique tattvas, your unique constitutional body. For me, it would be a different mantra, be a different meditation because, I'm different. but that would be for you. Now, for the fire under the ass, to get you energetic, get you moving, to get you out of the swampy of emotions, to really deflect, kind of, like, not feeling it today, know when to say no kind of thing, which is very masculine, very, very, you got your footing, you got your position. You're not just going to be like, yeah, I'm all over the place. That can be women sometimes. I got my footing, I have my position. That is that. So, this is it. Okay, it's the same just posture. You may have your chin slightly tucked in, chest open, spine tall. I have just my hands in this just Gyan Mudra right here. And this will really activate that inner elder inside of you, that inner Native American man inside you, which I feel like you have been. Okay, so here we go. Hud, 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 huddy. So we do. I didn't even. I was like totally like zoned out. Hudda, 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 huddy. Okay, so it's 5 hubs. So hudda, and then you press the tongue on the upper palate. So it kind of like bounces off of the top of your palate, and it creates this vibration kind of with your heart, your throat, all the way to your navel, which is below your belly button. You're gonna pump your belly. Pump, 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 belly button to spine with each hudda, 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 huddy. So this is like a warrior. This is connecting with your inner Mars, your inner Pluto, which is not as emphasized, but this will also like bring more well-roundedness. So you may be too moony, too Neptune-y, and you need to get more into the side of your Saturn, for example, which is about structure, consistency, more masculine, and getting more towards more towards that Saturn within you. That will really anchor you. Okay, you can even have photos and you can even meditate upon that. Okay, so hada, 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 hadi, 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 hada, 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 hadi. Okay, so you can do that. You can feel some energy, like when you kind of pump in your navel, you feel like there's some fire being lit. Okay, and for you, there's just so much water, you need some fire. So that will get you some fire. That'll give you some magnetism as well. That'll give you some momentum, called motivation magnetism. That's momentum. Momentum is motivation and magnetism. So when I feel about your future incarnations, I feel you're wanting to, like I said, that Saturn, that Capricorn, that, like I said, like I feel like in future incarnations, you're wanting to become like the manager. Okay, you're wanting, right now I feel like you're learning how to be managed and how to like manage yourself, but I feel like you're wanting to evolve into manager. Okay. Like you work at the pencil factory, but now you're actually learning how to manage. So that has to do with the business, and that's all about Taurus, and that's all about that Capricorn, that business side of how to manage like a huge, could be company or something like that. That's something you're wanting to work towards in future incarnations, which I feel like you will have on this planet Earth. Okay, if that is your choosing. Because I don't feel like you're interlocked with any sort of arrangements. You have to kind of come back because you have arrangements. But I feel focusing on this present and being helpful. That's why your pod came, because you gotta get through this one thing before we can really smooth sailing. From here on out, we gotta get over this big hump that we're all seeing. Like, how are we gonna surmount that? And you're wanting to contribute through. I feel it is something regarding the inner feminine. Like, it could be support. You want to be in a group. You want to be in a community. Almost like when we think of group, when we think of community, a lot of times it could be associated with activism. And I feel like this has to do with young women. It could be young women in their early teens, it could be their late teens, it could be middle school, elementary school. Basically, I'm feeling this drawn for you to basic it could also be activism regarding females that have been abused, like sexually abused. So because I feel like there's something about that kind of follows maybe what you've been through, what you've seen or had friends went through, okay, as a young man. So I feel there's something about it could be even volunteering, it could be in a group, a community of basically being helping these young girls who have been through some sort of that rough and tough masculine maybe did something to them, like trauma. Okay, trauma for the female. I feel like you're wanting to participate in a group, or it could be an organization that is wanting to bring balance and wanting to bring healing to these young females across the world. It could be even females in the Middle East, whatever. Okay. So I feel like this is the overall messages that want to come through. I don't want to like overstimulate your brain or overstimulate my brain, because I feel like this will definitely help you to open up your potential and help you to realize your potential. Just reading your thing real quick. So the fitting in, don't even need to worry about that. It's a matter of fact of you have to get your footing, you have to get your position. If you have your footing, your position, you can be very creative and very imaginative, because you have your foot and you have your position, you have your ego, you have your sense of identity. But when you don't have an ego, like I said, I don't really feel like you have a sense of ego or sense of identity, or maybe you feel like I don't need to have an ego, I just need to be egoless. I feel like that's when we can start feeling we're very much uncomfortable, and we don't know how to like really navigate, and we don't have any sense of center of ground to this planet Earth, and therefore we feel like we don't belong here because we have no contact with the ground. So I feel like for you, it's that ego, and like that snow moon, we have that Aquarius sign. We think of Aquarius. We would also would Uranus. So that's also about Aquarius is very innovative. It's very much not about fitting in. It's very much about being sovereign. And when you recognize that aspect of yourself and get a footing, get a position on it through community, through groups, it could be activism, it could be activities, you will find that it's not so much about the approval, the acceptance, because that's a Cancer. You want approval, you want acceptance so bad, but it can really just make you swampy emotionally. We want to put a fire under our ass and recognize being unique as Mr. Rogers, the kids show. Mr. Rogers would say is our greater contribution, because it fills us up. It doesn't fill us up to be hungry for approval and acceptance and then draining ourselves trying to be all these things that's not real to us. It spills our cup to fill your cup with what is natural and native to you. So for you, like I said so many times in this reading, it is connecting with your Saturn, or connecting with Saturn, which is discipline, being consistent. Sometimes it can be a rude awakening. Sometimes it's just you got to get yourself stable. You got to get yourself solid. You got to touch the ground. You got to bow to the ground. You got to kiss the ground, so that you can get your sense of taking your inner imagination and making it practical. That's like with any great mind, intelligence, and it is taking what is imaginative and making it practical for yourself, not for everyone around you, for yourself, for your daily life. Take what imaginative and make it practical. For me, it is imaginative for me to meditate in the morning and do yoga in the morning, or to paint a picture in the early morning. I make it practical, and by doing it every day, it becomes my routine. It becomes my lifestyle. Okay. And that lifestyle, that commitment, that discipline I have with myself, it makes me strong. It's like a bark of tree. It makes me very solid within. I am this imaginative. I like to meditate to this thing, or do this sort of yoga, or paint these pictures, or sing these songs, or be this kind of person. Through the practicing and of it in a disciplined and a committed and consistent way, it really helps me to create that lifestyle where I have it pretty consolidated within me. So it's not lofty, it's not up and down, it's not I question it, and some days I don't even do it, and some days like, it's no, I don't doubt. So for you, it's the doubt. You have to conquer and slay the doubt that you have about yourself, and get real that we are experiencing a transition into a more matriarchal age. And what that means is the patriarchal Capricorn, that you know very well, and that I know very well, maybe just in different sort of settings. You could be more mechanical, I could be more like institutional, like education. But we all know that we are heading into a more matriarchal, feminine touch. Okay? And when you really just stay really anchored in that, it's like you become resilient to that, untouchable to all else that. So that could be your challenge, is not needing approval, not needing acceptance, not wearing a mask because this Tom, Dick, and Harry guy is weird when you act, yourself. It could be a challenge. It could be in your astrological chart of this challenge that you're going to have to face that Cancer that I only feel safe when I'm with my mom. This doesn't have to be your mom, but just a mother, like my mommy, my blanket, my little stuffed animal kind of thing. And really get out there in that scholarly masculine part of you, which we all have a poet and we all have a scholar inside of us. Brain, it's called both hemispheres, the brain. And for you is to really step into that scholar, hold that ego, that position, that footing, that identity, that I am this way. And when you'll see the shift of people, because you're in your power. Okay, you're in your masculine. You're not in your looking for the blankie to like comfort, through approval or acceptance. I don't need that because I have it integrated in my ego and my identity that this is me. And that's your scholarly self. Now that's another story. People be way crazy about that, but for you, you have none of that at all. So you need to get the basics, okay? So, yes, I'm going to leave you with this. So it's an hour and like 8 minutes. So hopefully you can process this, and hopefully this is not overstimulating too much. Just remember, it may take weeks. It could take days, weeks, or months for it to really activate certain nuances within you, okay, and for you to actually get it. Okay, so thank you.